You'll have to excuse the video quality. I'm reduced to using my iPhone. But that's only because the GoPro hasn't turned on and made a decent video, insofar as like it won't stay on for more than a few moments, like we're talking a few seconds. I've struggled with it to keep it warm, to keep it functioning, and to keep it functioning while I'm out here in these elements. I want to talk about three things. I want to talk about what's happened, how I did it, and how I'm feeling now. Monday we hiked out, and it was grueling, hauling all of our gear up those many miles to get out to where our camp is, where we set up what we call a stake camp. Now, base camp we got here basically right next to the trucks, and that's like extra supplies, tent, cot, sleeping bag for down here for when we knew we would be coming down here. That was Monday. Tuesday we went out and we tried to get close to a couple of caribou, and it was difficult, and we spent a good part of the morning basically scaring them off in different directions. Like, okay, this isn't working. Trying to get basically close enough to be able to take a shot. When I first got out here, I was comfortable taking shots up to 200 yards, which I thought was pretty good because, last year I was like, well, I only want to shoot 100 yards, so it was like double my distance in a year as far as how comfortable I am. We decided to split up. My hunting buddy needed to go back to camp for a few personal things. And I decided that I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go up on this, ridge and take a look around at that peak and so on and so forth. But really quickly changed my plans. Again, I'm just working on instinct. And my instincts kind of told me to go in a different direction, and which is really, really bad. You should not tell the people that you're with, I'm going one way and then go another. This is bad practice. But unfortunately, I'm not going to learn from this bad practice because it worked out well. I went over, I stalked a caribou. There ended up being a whole bunch of them. I picked one out. I was literally crawling on my belly to get close enough to be able to take a good clean shot. And I shot him. I still was adjusting a little high, and I had to give him a mercy shot when I got up to him. I ended up hitting him higher than where I wanted to shoot him because I was trying to adjust for the ballistics of the round, which is just like technical stuff and actually kind of boring. But know your ballistics. I will at least say that. So I was able to coordinate through my wife, who's kind of playing Oracle back home, and get a hold of my hunting partner, let him know my new location, my actual location, and send him over to where I was. I'm not going to lie. When I shot that caribou, I was like, it wasn't the same excitement and the same thrill that I got last year when I shot my first caribou out here, my second caribou ever. It was like, well, good, yeah, mark it off the list, you know what I mean? Because we have a lot more to go. That was kind of the feeling that we had, was just like, boom, okay, that's one, And quartered it up. My buddy showed up with the sled, which was a needed element that I learned last year, if you watch those old videos. And we pulled him back to camp. Cool, great. This is, let's chill out for the rest of the day and celebrate we got one. That night, a wolf came into camp and ate the juiciest, best part, one of the hind quarters. And I was distraught. I was like, wow, how am I going to explain this to my wife? How am I going to explain this to my family that, we're down not just like, a good portion of the meat, but some of the best meat too. It's ridiculous. I'd almost take a hind quarter over 2 front quarters. That's how much better it is. And, yeah, actually I would. And so, I was just like, wow, that's terrible. That sucks. All right, cool. And I was like, listen, let's go out to that peak. We kind of agreed, it wasn't just me bossing him around. We're like, let's go out to that peak. And, that we saw that was kind of in the middle of what I was calling Laughing Wolf Valley. If you guys watched the videos from last year, you'll remember why I call it Laughing Wolf Valley now. So we went over to this peak in the middle of Laughing Wolf Valley, and we were like, wow, there are no caribou. There's nothing out here, you know? And after a few minutes, we heard the longest wolf cry I have maybe ever heard in my life. I mean, we're talking like this just ethereal type of sound breaking through the Arctic, and it was cool and terrifying and awesome. And I was like, well, that's why we're not seeing any caribou today. So we went back to camp, and we're like, well, all right, well, we'll have lunch, we'll relax, we'll, you know, do whatever. And while we're in camp, sure enough, this wolf comes up on the ridge, and I was like, he's coming back for seconds. You know what I mean? Like, he probably, you know, is familiar with this camp, is bold enough to come in here even when we're sleeping, you know? And so I dropped down and I put my rifle down on top of the jet sled, and I asked my hunting partner for the range. 432 yards. And I was like, all right, I'm just gonna have to, like, you know, take a good estimate about how this bullet's gonna fly with the wind and the ballistics and the gravity and everything else. And you know, already shooting up onto a ridge, one shot, I put him down. And I'm not gonna lie, that was probably the most excited I've ever been for a hit ever. I mean, I jumped up, I lost all decorum, I was screaming, I was yelling, I was cursing, you know, I was all in, you know, just complete elation. And I was really excited because I had, you know, got the wolf that, you know, maybe that was the wolf, and maybe, you know, that was one of his buddies, but I felt like that was the wolf that, you know, was coming to my camp and eating my meat, you know. And I was like, man, you got to be kidding me. I worked so hard for this, and, you know, going to come in here and steal it. So I put him down, and I spent the next few hours skinning him up and everything else. And wouldn't you know, the next day, which would have been Thursday, the next day, there were caribou everywhere now that the wolf was gone. You know, and I'm sure we actually saw 5 or 6, you know, wolves the day that I got the one, but they were incredibly far away, miles away. My scope actually is insanely powerful. It'll go up to 24, like a 24 magnification. So I was able actually to see, looking at things that we knew how far they were, I was able to see caribou that were 7 miles away. And I was kind of shocked because I was like, whoa, they're right there. And my hunting partner's like, think about how far that is. And, you know, like, let's look at our map. And, oh, wow, that's 7 miles, you know? So that's kind of cool. But we saw these wolves that were miles away. And so, you know, but I think putting that one down, maybe they were like, oh man, you know, what happened to Tom? We better get out of here. You know what I mean? So there were caribou everywhere the day after that. And between myself and my hunting partner, we were able to put down and harvest 3 more caribou. And we went through like a well-oiled machine and just got to work. We're like, all right, we gotta get all these quartered up, you know. It was really exciting. We shot them all within a few hundred yards of camp, and all the caribou we only had to bring, maximum was probably, you know, 750 yards. We literally could have just sat in camp the whole time and, you know, got, you know, all the caribou. We probably didn't have to hike away from camp at all, you know, just sit right there in camp. The last one that was shot was actually about 100 yards from camp. But I will give my hunting partner credit. He did have to stock up and get pretty close in order to get that one. Yesterday, which was Friday, was just hauling out all the meat. We didn't want to lose any more meat to more predators. And we had kind of set up these like traps where we put all the meat down and put the jet sleds on top of them, and then put a bunch of noisy items and things, empty bottles, empty thermoses, propane cans, these sorts of things, so that if something did try and get underneath the jet sleds and get to the meet, it would make this ruckus and we would hear it. But we're like, okay, listen, high priority. Let's get the meat back to the vehicles. Let's get them sealed up in something so that we can protect them a little better than just having them underneath the sled. And there's obviously predators out here. On top of a grizzly that we saw, which, you know, I had joked before, like, well, yeah, I hope they come to camp. Not when you see them. When you see them, you're like, I hope they stay over there. Even though I would love a, you know, big bearskin, you know, rug. They're big, they're terrifying, they're fast, and they're incredibly smart, and they know where you are way before you know where they are. It's incredible. But he was busy, like, eating something. So, let's see. Yesterday we brought down all the meat. It was a grueling process, even though it was mostly downhill. What we have left now is to go get all the trophies and then go get all of camp. And we can't do that all in one trip. It's too heavy. So we're going to have to take 2 more trips up the hill, all the way up there and all the way back twice. And that could take us anywhere from, 3 days to 4 days. And with this weather, it might look like 5 days. I'm not even going to lie. It started snowing yesterday, and it accumulated overnight about 4 inches. So on some of the drifts, you're looking at, 6-8 inches of snow. And when I say drifts, these aren't like cute little back of the Walmart parking lot drifts. I'm talking about drifts that fill up entire gulches, drifts that are collected from the side of a mountain and can span hundreds of yards. So it could be basically a trap for you if you get caught in it. So that's what we've got to deal with. I'm exhausted. This is a lot. I planned on being out here for a long time, and I didn't realize how much rationing was ultimately going to come into play and really hit. We're rationed out just to save on weight and everything else, rationing on water and rationing on food. And we overextended, we overused our water, even though we've only been using it to cook and drink. When we wash our hands, we get a drop of soap and we use the snow to basically melt snow in our hands and lather it up. It's kind of a miserable process, but it saves that. But we drank more than we should have. Yesterday, hauling out all the meat, it was hard, heavy work, and we were sweating a bunch. And we had to spend several hours basically collecting snow, packing it down into the thermos, pouring water on it, boiling it, and repeat, because it takes 4 or 5 times of packing snow into a thermos and melting it before you actually get a full thermos. So with the food, we're rationed out to about 1,500 calories a day, and according to my Fitbit, we're burning between 4,000 and 5,000 calories a day. So we're looking at close to a pound of fat that we're burning off every day. And that's because we're busy, we're walking, we're moving, we're, quartering up animals, which is heavy work. So it's a pretty daunting task to think to go up there in this snow and the visibility that there is, and go up there and get all of our trophies, the skins, the antlers that, we've worked for. And we want to have those, as well as go back up and get all the pieces of our camp, tear it down and bring it back. As far as it is, and with the weather the way that it is, we might have to go up and spend a night, and then bring a load down and spend a night, and then go up and spend a night, and repeat until we've got everything out of there. It's not like we could easily go out the many miles, get it, and then come back all in a single day. We're running out of liquid water, and we're working hard to basically keep getting more. To get 1 gallon, it took us about 3 hours last night. This is a daunting task, so please wish me luck. And again, I apologize for not making more videos. The GoPro failed me.